Hi, my name is Jennifer Perkis, and I'm here to talk about the Alaskan Native diet crisis. Um, as we know, uh, nutrition is an important part of many cultures, and to the Native Alaskans, this is no different. Most of the diet that we see in Alaskan Natives prior to the 20th century is based on food that they hunted or gathered. Um, as the Alaskans strayed from this previous diet, the amount of their of health risks increased. Um, and through this presentation, I'm going to talk about what I found that were could be considered a cause of this entire thing. As we learned through our text that was in our required reading for our class, we see as listed here all the different foods that each of the 6 regions of the Alaskan Native cultures um, ate. And one of the things that we notice is there is a huge correlation of how much fish, whether freshwater or marine, that they ate. Um, and these foods tend to be high in protein, low in fat, and are considered very healthy in many cultures. And if you've ever done any hunting for moose or deer or even caribou, you know that there's a lot of lean meats within those animals, meaning that there isn't as much fat that as what you would see in a Western culture society. Some of the some of the difficulties that we are seeing in harvesting food is that, like in mussels, you see cadmium contamination, so heavy metal toxicity amongst them. We know that mercury is very common type of poisoning that can happen from consuming fish. There's also diseases that destroy large amounts of animals, which kind of affects how Alaska natives actually are able to eat, especially if they can't eat the main source of food that they normally eat. Um, Overhunting and then the contamination from oil leaks and radiation. I just recently read an article about the Fukushima uh, radiation problem that we're having in the Pacific Ocean after the tsunami that hit Japan in that area. So all of this can affect us and affect the foods that the Alaska natives are eating. As we all know, Western foods are very, very overly processed when it comes to going from the farm to the table. In previous years, before they started doing using preservatives and additives to kind of increase the shelf life of our foods, you see that prior to that, the foods went from the farm or straight from the hunter to the store to be bought. And now we're seeing it go from the farm or the hunter to another processing plant to get processed even further, and then to the store where and during that time frame, since the processing is so long, we've started adding preservatives and additives to make it taste better. And this causes a lot of problems because it makes um, it you get a lot more uh, flour and stuff like that is overly processed, and you use it in the foods, and then it just your body doesn't process it the same way, and you end up getting heart disease, you end up getting diabetes, you end up becoming more obese. And if you live a more sedentary lifestyle than what the Alaska natives lived prior to even the 19th century, even the 20th century. Um, Once you start getting sedentary, that allows for a lot of issues in allowing your body to not be able to produce these things. And as we all know, there's even in Western society, we have an increased amount of being sedentary. We have an increased amount of heart disease, stroke, diabetes, type 1 and type 2, and then also obesity. And this is no different from the Alaskan Native than what we're seeing from the Alaskan Natives. This increase in heart disease and diabetes and obesity within the Alaskan Natives didn't really occur until Western culture decided to introduce them to their foods and their way of life. More and more native not native Alaskans, but Alaskan natives started going more towards the Western food because it was easy to cook, it was cheaper, it was it tasted better because if you have a sweet tooth like I do, you eat more and more candy and stuff like that. Now, ways to combat this is more exercise, and I've seen people return to a more traditional Native Alaskan or Alaskan Native diet, and with the leaner meats and the more natural foods getting better nutrients, and they've actually reversed their diabetes problems and obesity and any of the heart diseases. So we see that if we can sit there and go back to more of a traditional farm, from the farm straight to the table lifestyle, that we can decrease the amount of these diseases. Now, something else that I found within my research is that people that are on the lower level income brackets tend to have a more dependent, they have more dependence on the Western culture foods because they are cheaper to get. The fresh fruits and vegetables, I mean, you go into the grocery store, the fresh fruits and vegetables and meats are more expensive than the ones that are frozen or the ones that are in boxed up. And this price difference is probably a good indication of, well, maybe we need to decrease the price of healthier food options and increase the price of more of the processed foods. Another way, finding a way to increase, since most of the Alaskan Native cultures are at or below the poverty level, it might be a good idea to find a way that we can actually increase their either increase the amount of money that they are able to make, or allow them to have unrestricted access to the animals that they used to hunt and gather and everything, so that they can mitigate the costs of these healthier food options. Another way the federal government can start regulating the preservatives in the food. In Europe, they do a lot of regulations against preservatives, and like even the sodas taste totally different from what we have here in the United States. I'm thinking that if they did this, that maybe, just maybe, we'd be able to kind of get back to it. But one of the main things that I've learned is that the invasion of the Western culture has really just crippled the native Alaska or Alaskan natives lifestyle, and we need to find a way that we can help get them back to the way that they were.